All right, we're going to get back to the Padres coming up at 4 p.m. Darnay Trip, NBC7 will join the show on the trade deadline. But we're doing a summer series right now on Aztecs men's basketball with all the excitement for the upcoming year. They're back in the floor practicing here in July. And it's our pleasure to have Jaydee Luster, San Diego State men's basketball assistant, with us right now on John and Jim. And Jaydee, we appreciate you taking time for us. I think I just asked you in passing a couple of days ago at the Jam Center just about like recruiting in general right now. You guys have been on the road a lot over the last month. How has college basketball recruiting changed, or has it changed in this new era with NIL, with House? How is that impacting San Diego State and your recruiting efforts? And thanks for hopping on.
First of all, I just want to say thank you guys for having me. It's always a pleasure. Really appreciate what you guys do for our program on a day-to-day basis. So can't thank you guys enough.
Appreciate it.
As far as recruiting, I think the landscape has changed tremendously from 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, with NIL, with the House, and everything that we're in now. As far as the new space that we're in, I think the individuals who suffer the most in this new landscape is high school kids. I think now more than ever, it's hard for high school kids to get scholarships because everybody just wants the portal. You know, we live in a world where instant gratification is like, you know, priority number one in most aspects of life. And I think college recruiting is became that. You know, with the high school kids, it may take time for a high school kid to develop, but if I go in the portal, it's like instant gratification. The kid don't have to sit out. I already know what he's done. He's already done at this level, and I can get rewarded right away. So I think because of that, high school athletes, it's harder than it's ever been for them to get a scholarship. And then also, I think on this side of it, college coaches, they don't recruit far ahead anymore. So right now, we're just focused on the 26 class. We're not focused on the 27 class or the 28 class. Where back in the days, you would recruit maybe 2 classes early or 3 classes early in some incidents. But now you don't know what your roster is going to look like from year to year, so you can't recruit 2 classes ahead.
Take us through the recruitment of Tay Simmons and why he's such a good fit for your program.
Tay Simmons, I always tell people, like, you know what an Aztec look like. Anybody who's followed San Diego State program, you go watch a high school game and say, you know what, that kid would fit at San Diego State. And San Diego State athletes, men's basketball, they're tough-nosed kids. They're kids that play with a high motor. They're kids that can guard multiple positions, kids that do all the things that may not show up on a stat sheet but impact winning. You know, those are things that we value here as a program, and I think there's very few programs in the country that value the same things as far as recruiting. One of them off the top of my head is Houston. I think Houston and San Diego State, the way we recruit is very similar. So I think when you talk about what we look for, I think we look for that. We look for toughness. That's always the first question I ask people. When I get a call about a kid, like I got a kid that you guys might like, the first thing I ask is, are they tough? Because if they're not tough, if they're not going to compete on both ends of the floor every single possession, they can't play here.
It's funny you say that. Obviously, we saw San Diego State and Houston on the floor last year in Las Vegas, and there are some similarities in terms of the way those two
For sure.
schools look and those players look. And, of course, it's a defense-first mentality, both Houston and San Diego State. Jaydee Luster is with us right now, Aztecs men's basketball assistant out of San Diego, back home here at San Diego State. What about your other freshman that's coming in here for 2025-26 in the guard, LZ Harrington? Can you take us through that process as it played out a little later, but you get a very promising young guard in your system on this deep roster. But tell us about Harrington.
LZ is extremely talented. He's 6'7", but he's a point guard. He can really pass. He got a good feel for scoring the ball. He's a good athlete. You know, he has a promising future here on the Mesa. And I think as the fans get a chance to know him as an individual and get to know him as a basketball player, I think he's going to be a fan favorite and somebody that's just easy to fall in love with because of his natural abilities and then the person that he is. You know, he's come from a great family, and his mom and dad have done a tremendous job as far as raising him. And I think just being around him, you see that right away.
Taj DeGorville, Farrell Compton, 2 sophomores on the team. What are you looking for them for this year to take that next step?
You know, I think as everybody's seen last year, those two have a promising future. They both have a lot of potential, and I would like for them to keep climbing in that direction. I think for Taj, it's just being more comfortable now. You've been here for a year, taking a step as a guy who's vocal, taking a step as a guy who helps set the tone for the new guys as far as culture and how we do things. And then for Farrell, just continue to get comfortable and have longer stretches where he's dominant. I think we've seen glimpses at times in games last year where it's like, okay, this guy is really good. He can impact the game, blocking shots, he can fly around, catch lobs, but it was short-lived at times last year. So for Farrell, I want the jump to be he impact the game for longer periods of time this upcoming year.
Jaydee Luster, Aztecs men's basketball assistant, with us right now on John and Jim. What's the impact of having a team as deep as this one is expected to be, where you got 10, 11, 12 players that can potentially contribute, but of course there's only 40 minutes in a basketball game, and then there's only one basketball. So what impact does that depth have moving forward?
I think it has a lot of impact. I think in a multitude of ways. One, I think you able to wear teams down by just coming at them in waves. And I think our national championship team, you had guys like Jalen Ledee, who was the Karl Malone Award winner the following year, coming off the bench. You had Micah Parrish coming off the bench, Adam Seiko coming off the bench. So Aguka Rope coming off the bench. So I think we just wore people down. I think this team has the depth to be able to do that as well. And then I think it's also easier to hold guys accountable as a coach when you're so talented. If you're not doing what you're supposed to do out there, you're not playing with the energy and effort that, we demand, and that reaches our standard here at San Diego State, then it's the next man up. And usually the bench is a very good coach. The bench is a very good corrector and teacher. So it's a way to hold guys accountable as well.
As a coaching staff, what's it like to see as many guys return from last year's team as they did this year?
I think it's a testament to the culture. I think it's a testament to the family environment. I think it's a testament to who we are as individuals, as a staff, and then also a testament to these kids and their families and who they are as individuals. I think we do a good job of recruiting guys who come from good backgrounds, come from backgrounds of great integrity, who stand on morals and principles, and I think that they're driving forces, those things. It's not necessarily money. So when it's time to go in the portal, or when they've been offered a bunch of money other places, that's not what drives them. That's never been what motivated them. What motivates them is being around good people. What motivates them is high character. So I think we have a culture full of that when it comes to character and integrity, and I think we've done a good job of recruiting families that believe in that as well.
Final one for me is just back to the recruiting question, Jaydee, with you heading up so many of those efforts, whether it's via the portal or with the high school process, with the coaching staff being on the road for the better part of the last month, or so many weekends within the last month. When you're looking at potential future Aztecs, how do you know it's going to translate from the high school level to the college level? Because you've hit on so many of these with recent history with Taj and Farrow and BJ Davis and Miles Heide. You just look at the players that have come in here as true freshmen and their development, but how do you know that it's going to translate when you're out there on the recruiting trail looking at 16, 17-year-old players?
I think some of it is like you get guys from winning programs, winning cultures. I talked to you a little bit about it at practice, I believe it was yesterday. Taj and Farrell come from the Nike circuit, EYBL, and that's historically probably the best AAU circuit, and I think it's the best parameter of what translates and what doesn't translate to this level. When you go watch those games, they're high level games, and from an athletic standpoint and physicality standpoint, it's the closest thing you're gonna see to a college game. So usually, in that atmosphere, if those guys go out there and they're successful, it's usually a good parameter for if it translates to our level. And with BJ and Bird, I think Bird, he comes from a a basketball family. His dad was a college coach for a long time, so he'd been around the game. You know, you knew he would have good people around him to guide him through this process, and you knew he would find his way eventually. And B.J. Davis, the same thing. B.J. Davis went to Modesto Christian, who year in, year out is one of the best programs in Northern California. So I think some of it is knowing the family, doing our intel on the family, and then just, you know, recruiting winners. Usually if you winning is something you have to learn how to do. And I think it helps when you go and you pull guys from the high school ranks that have learned how to win already. So once they get here, it's an easy transition because they're used to winning. They know what it takes to win. They know that, you know, it's the margin of error is very slim when it comes to getting to the NCAA tournament or not. So I think that's to answer that. I think that's how we've done a good job of being right a lot of times.
It's great insight. And again, San Diego State has won at such a high level, reaching the NCAA tournament year in and year out and trying to do it again here in 2026. Jaydee Luster, great seeing you this week at the Jam. Looking forward to the upcoming season. Appreciate you taking time for us, and we will do it again soon as we lead up to another season.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
All right,
Go Aztecs.